afternoon to all. Now I will start about the tube drawing process under Unit 5. And learning outcome, end of this lecture, student will able to learn about the tube drawing process. Tube drawing process. Before discussion of the tube drawing process, first I will discuss about the drawing process. What is the drawing process? Drawing is a code working process in which the workpiece is pulled through the tapered type hole and in a die so as to reduce its diameter. An accurate dimension, specified cross-sectional area and clean, excellent quality surface we have got in that particular drawing process, and appreciably increases strain and hardening of the metal. Means here that is the undrawn bar, okay, and that is the die. When we passes through that undrawn bar, the diameter of that particular bar that will be reduces, and diameter is reduces, that is the drawn bar, length will be increases in case of undrawn bar. The starting materials in case of drawing, the roll or extrusion rod or rolled section, that type of product will be produced. In case of large quantities of the wire rod, tubes and other sections also we have produced using the drawing process. That process is responsible for the plastic flow. Plastic flow is caused by the compressive force and arising from the reaction of the metal that helps plastic flow that helps to produce the particular rod type or wire shape or tube type product will be produced using that tube drawing process. Material must be have high ductility and good tensile strength. Without these properties, it is not possible. Reduction in diameter through the plastic deformation while the volume remains same. Means here reduction of the diameter through the plastic deformation while the volume remains same. Before the wire drawing process and after the wire drawing process, the ultimate volume of that particular product remains same. Different shape will be produced by the drawing process, that is the circular type, that rectangular type, that type shape, that type shape, that but different shape we have produced using the wire type process. Means that shape depends upon the shape design of the die. Means which type of shape is required in case of wire required, on that basis we design the die. After design of the die we produce the wire by using the wire drawing process. Generally drawing three types: tube drawing, wire drawing and deep drawing. Three types of drawing process. Wire drawing, here that is the produced wire, bunch of wire, that is the produced bunch of wire. Means in the typical wire drawing process, generally once the wire is reduced and passed through the different die opening and grabbed and pulled to reduce the diameter. Means in that wire drawing process we passes through the different die and finally we have got the reduced diameter product. And by successive drawing operation through the different die, the reducing diameter wires can be reduced to very small diameters. In case of tube drawing, here involves reducing the cross sectional and wall thickness. Means here cross sectional area decreases and also wall thickness also reduces through the die operation. The cross sectional can be circular, cross sectional of the particular produced product may be circular, may be square, may be hexagonal or may be any type of shape we have produced in that particular tube drawing process. Tube drawing generally three types: tube sinking, fixed plug drawing and moving mandrel. Using three types of tube drawing process we produce the particular product. In tube sinking process what happens? Now only the outer diameter of the tube is reduced. Only outer diameter of that particular reduced. That is the hollow portion. That is the hollow portion. Here for reducing the inner diameter of the tube, we use the other two process, that is the tube drawing with plug and tube drawing with mandrel, that will be used for reducing the inner diameter. In tube mandrel process, means here we have seen that is the die and that is the hollow tube that will passes through the die, and here outer diameter of the tube that will be reduces. In tube mandrel process, the mandrel will be each placed in the tube and the pull given to that particular tube which will reduces the inner diameter of the tube, means that is the mandrel and that is the tube and that is the die. When passes through the tube, through the mandrel, the inner diameter of that particular tube that will be reduces, that tube with mandrel. Another, in plug drawing process we have seen that the both internal and external surface of that particular tube control and the dimensional accuracy is good compared to the other two methods. Means here in that process plug is fixed or floating, and the friction obtained in friction plug is more than floating plug, and drawing load also high in the fixed plug and less in floating plug. Means here drawing load is high in case of fixed plug and less in case of floating plug, and also friction obtained in fixed plug is more than the floating plug. Means here that is the plug and that is the die. When we passes through the tube, so both the internal diameter and outer diameter also reduces in plug drawing process. What is the purpose of the tube drawing? Generally to control the outer diameter and to regulate the outer diameter to have good surface finish, and also control the inner diameter, we use the tube drawing process. To regulate the outer and inner diameter, to carry out a heavy reduction in thickness of the tube, for that purpose we use the tube drawing process. Lubrication for drawing. In that process proper lubrication is essential, because to improve the die life, reduce the drawing forces and reduce the temperature, and to improve the surface finish, this can be achieved by the three types: wet drawing lubrication, dry drawing lubrication and coating. Using that three types we improve that die life. What are the types of lubricants? Oil, copper sulfate solution with difficult to draw materials. With difficult to draw materials, in that cases we use the polymers or soft materials, may also be used as a lubricants. Deep drawing. In case of deep drawing process, what happens? That is a sheet metal forming operation used to make the cup shaped, means cup shaped, box shaped or other complex curve with higher depth, that will be produced by the deep drawing process. Hollow shaped parts. Then only that process performed by the place a sheet metal over a die cavity and then pushing that sheet metal into the opening with the punch, and then the blank is held down against the die by a blank holder. Means the box shape, cup shape or complex type cup shape we have produced by the deep drawing process. That type of product, deep type product, means higher depth, internal higher depth will be produced in that particular product. Means that is the higher depth product we have produced by the deep drawing process. What are the application of the tube drawing process? Here for manufacturing pot, pans for cooking, means what are the application of the deep drawing? Here we produce the pot, pans for cooking, that will be used for cooking purpose. Another containers, sinks, different automobile parts, just like panel, gas tanks, that will be produced by that deep drawing process. Defects. What are the defects generated in that process? Center burst, surface cracking, internal cracking, corrosion induced cracking, hot shortness, that type of problem will be occurred in that particular process. And another, wrinkles at the flange surface. Wrinkles means some bending type shape will be produced. Wrinkles at walls, tearing, earring, surface scratches, that type of problems also produced in that particular tube drawing process. That is the defects. that type of defects occur in that particular surface. That type of some wrinkles happened in that particular surfaces. That type of defects, that type of ear type defect, that type of surface defect, that type of defects will be produced in case of deep drawing operation. Wrinkles, that is the wrinkle types problem. That is the wrinkle types problem to that particular deep drawing products. Wrinkles means in deep drawing operation, generally movement of the blank into the cavity induces compressive circumferential stresses at the flange. Due to compressive circumferential stresses across the flange, that will cause to wrinkle during drawing process. Due to compressive circumferential stress in the flange, which responsible for the wrinkle defect. Wrinkle, that type of wrinkle in flange, that will be happened. That is the top surface. Another continued drawing, that type of wrinkle in part wall, that type of wrinkle will be happen at the front wall of that particular deep type product. Tearing in the cup wall. In the cup wall, generally that type of problem will be happen due to longitudinal stress. Due to longitudinal stress, that type of tearing will be affected. Elongation causes the cup wall to the thin. If excessive causes, if more elongation generated, then what happen in the cup wall? That will be thin, means it will be excessive and it causes tearing. Ladder bands. Ladder bands due to higher elongation. That type of ladder bands problem will be occurred. They are also known as slip bands. Localized bands or plastic deformation in metal experiencing tensile stresses, means more elongation takes place to that particular product. Commonly to known, generally that type of problem will be happen to the low carbon steel. That type of ladder band problem will be occur to that particular produced products. Summary, what is the concluding learning outcome? At the end of this lecture, students have learned about the tube drawing process, deep drawing process, and get the concept about the drawing process. That is the last lecture of the 5 unit. Now, summary, concluding course learned outcome at the end of the unit 5. The end of this lecture, student at the end of the unit 5, the students have learned about the learning outcome 1, introduction to bulk deforming process, plastic deformation, yield and flow criteria, machine and equipments for the metal deforming process, parameters and force calculation for different processes. Learning outcome 2, classification of metal deforming process, sway process, that are the swaging, forging and it all types, forging defects. Learning outcome 3, rolling, fundamentals and types of rolling mills and products. Learning outcome 4, extrusion, basics and its characteristics, type of extrusion, impact extrusion, hydrostatic extrusion, wire drawing and tube drawing. Now summary, concluding course outcomes at the end of the course. At the end of the course, students have learned course outcome 1, explanation about the basis of casting and its application. Course outcome 2, demonstration of various special casting process. Course outcome 3, distinguished between the different joining techniques. Course outcome 4, explanation about the basis of sheet metal forming and plastic processing techniques. Course outcome 5, summarization about the bulk deforming process. That is the end of the 5 unit. Thanks to all.